So I think the Eagles win this division, and I don't think it's close. I think you got a couple of things in Dallas that potentially could go pretty sideways pretty quickly. You got Mike McCarthy going into the last year of his deal. Extension has not been made, so he's kind of in that lame duck mode as of right now. You got your franchise quarterback going into the same situation where he can be a free agent come the end of the year. I think Tony Pollard going to Tennessee is going to hurt that backfield. I don't think that they're necessarily going to have the reliable running game that they've had in years past. Now, I know last year it wasn't great, but I just CD's contract, Mike McCarthy, lame duck coach, Dak Prescott, for lack of a better term, lame duck quarterback. And I think with the potential rumors of a Bill Belichick coming in or the coaching stuff and look, I also think that they're going to have a little bit of a hangover. And I know it's close to, 9 months, 9 months later, but I think that beating at home against the Packers is really going to have a hangover effect on them. With all the question marks within the organization, with everything there, I honestly see this going sideways, going real quick. So I have the Eagles at 12-5. I think that I have it in front of me. So the last 6 games last year, Jalen Hurts had 5 TDs and 5 picks in 6 games. Now, I know everyone says that, Jason Kelce is going to be obviously missed, and he is. But I also think that their scheme got a little bit too predictable. And I think they got a little bit predictable because the offensive line, even with Jason Kelce, was so bad. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts was too busy looking down at his offensive line than looking downfield because his offensive line was absolute garbage. The run game down the stretch didn't do particularly well last year. And I think that, look, Jalen Carter is going to get better. Jordan Davis is going to get better. They're going to be able to rush the quarterback, and I feel like they're going to blow a lot of teams out. So, the offenses are going to be one-dimensional, and those guys are going to be able to eat. So I have and I also think that Kellen Moore going there is going to benefit Jalen, is going to benefit that offense, but I also think it's going to benefit Saquon a lot because there's more offensive weapons around him than he's ever played with before. So the brunt of the load is not going to be on his shoulders. Hence, he's always an injury question mark, right?
Yeah.
But I think the way that they're going to use him, I think will lessen the load a bit. And I think that the Giants always, screen game, but he's more of an outside guy, get him in space. So I think Kellen Moore is going to be able to use him a little bit more as a receiver, pair him up with Devonta Smith, pair him up with A.J. Brown. I think that offense is going to be absolutely destructive, and I think they blow a lot of teams out. I have them going 12-5. I have the Cowboys going 9-8.
Wow.
Because look, with all of the different question marks, and this isn't just a Bobby troll job, I promise you that.
Yeah.
I think they have a severe fatigue, almost malaise coming off of last year, and I don't think that Brandon Cooks is going to stay healthy. That's just me. You need more than just CD. You do. And I know Ferguson's a good tight end. I know that defense has played well in the regular season, but in the playoffs they got absolutely shredded last year.
Yeah,
I think that defense is a little bit of a paper tiger just because of, they have some pieces, Diggs, and why am I blanking? Yeah, and Parsons. I think they come a little bit.
DeMarcus is arguably one of the best defensive ends in the league.
I think they have pieces, but I don't think they put it all together, and I think their run is a little bit over, to be honest. I have them going 9-8. I actually have the Commanders going 7-10. I think they'll be feisty. I think Bieniemy is going to be really good for them. And I just think that I think they're going to be all right. Okay, they're going to be okay. I have the Giants going 5-12 as well. I think Daniel Jones is he's got a lot of Mitchell Trubisky in him, and they're both from Duke. And I think that when you draft the athletic quarterback first, and then you try to figure it out later with throwing the ball and not having turnovers and stuff, we've seen it too many times.
I'm calling you out. Trubisky went to North Carolina.
Okay, ACC guys, whatever. Shut up. Might as well have went to Duke. He might as well be the poster boy for Duke for how he looks. I was gonna make a lacrosse joke, but I feel like we'd get demonetized if that was the case.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, can't do that. But I look. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be really fun to watch, and he's got an absolute cannon for an arm. And I think having him with McLaurin and Jahan Dotson with Eckler, whatever he has left, I think it's more pieces than they've ever had, and I think the enemy is going to get him open. I don't think that defense is anything to write home about. I think that defense is going to be kind of a sieve, but I think they'll be competitive and they'll be fun to watch. And I'd go after Jaden Daniels for garbage time fantasy points.
I do believe Cliff Kingsbury is the offensive coordinator now.
Oh, that's right. It is Kingsbury. Well, okay. So, Bieniemy went elsewhere. Okay, comments, light me up.
He went to UCLA.
What, Bieniemy?
Bieniemy, yep.
Okay. So, Cliff Kingsbury, same thing. I mean, he has experience with – look, I think Murray's best offensive year was with Kingsbury.
Yes.
And it's very similar to this role with Jaden Daniels. Mobile quarterback, strong arm, he'll scheme guys open. I think they'll be fun, and I think the Giants will be a dumpster fire. But I just think for Dallas, there's too many question marks, there's too much malaise, and I think they're at the end of their run. They're talented, but I think there's too much. There's too much uck coming out of that camp.
It's not a bad choice.
All right. NFC West. 49ers, 12-5 last year, lost in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs. 5-3 at home, 7-2 on the road, plus minus 11.5 wins. Right in the middle of the pack as far as hard schedule is concerned. Point differential last year, plus 193. Cardinals, 4-13, missed the playoffs, 2-6 at home, 2-7 on the road. Plus minus win total, 6.5. 16th easiest schedule, point differential, minus 125. Rams, made 10-7, made the playoffs last year. Lost in a barn burner at Detroit. That was probably one of the more fun games in the playoffs last year, to be honest.
Yep.
5-3 at home, 5-4 away. Plus minus 8.5 wins, 16th hardest schedule, point differential plus 27. And Seahawks, 9-8, missed the playoffs, 5-3 at home, 4-5 on the road, plus minus 7.5 wins, 15th easiest schedule in the league, and point differential minus 38. Can we just say 49ers and go on to the next one? Like, it's 49ers and it's next. Like, the only other team that I can see giving them any sort of a run is the Rams.
Yeah, the Rams.
And look, yes, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. They still haven't been able to run the ball under Sean McVay ever since he's gotten there. And Aaron Donald not being there is going to be a black hole as far as production. Where the hell do you get it from? And I think, honestly, he covered up for a lot of holes that were already there. And look, I don't know if Cooper Kupp's going to stay healthy for 17 games. And I don't even know if Matt Stafford's going to stay healthy for 17 games.
Yeah.
So if you're going to challenge the 49ers in the West, I feel like the 49ers can go 11-6, which is actually what I have them going. I think their schedule is a little bit harder. I think they're bringing everybody back, but they also had a lot of good health last year, and especially with guys like George Kittle, with McCaffrey, with Debo, getting healthy years out of all three of those guys. I just don't see that being the case this year. I think they had a lot of injury luck last year. Look, I think Brock Purdy continues to be a top, what are we going to call it, 10, 15 quarterback in the league. I just think that they had a healthy year last year for the most part, and I feel like they take a little bit of a step back, but I still having them win the division at 11-6. I think the Rams go 9-8 this year, not that much more farther from last year. I have Seattle going 8-9, and I have the Cardinals going 5-12. And I think the only reason you watch that team is Marvin Harrison Jr. and with Kyler.
Yeah, so I have the 49ers at 11-6, right? Everything that you said, I agree upon. I think where they're gonna falter a little bit is this calf injury for McCaffrey. Now, I'm not saying that his calf right now is exponentially worse by any means, but what I'm worried about is calf injuries can linger, right? If there's any muscle on your body, it's the calves. It can turn into Achilles if it becomes worse. So I get a little bit cautious when I'm looking at McCaffrey and his production. Not to say that the Rams, are not a good team, because I actually think they're well built this year. I think that they do finish 10-7. So only one game under San Fran. And here's why. I disagree with you when you say that the running game hasn't been there with McVay. It has. Last year, Kyrie Williams had over 1,000 yards rushing. He had 12 touchdowns, and found a way to bring production in the passing game as well. But as far as running the ball, that's where I think they're gonna throw their hat in the ring. Is they're gonna have Blake Corum, who's a solid back. I think J.K. Dobbins is on that team as well. And then you have Kyren Williams. And I think all those backs can find a way to complement each other the best way. And Matthew Stafford doesn't have to be the old of the old, right? He can be the guy that sits back, passes, dumps the ball down to, Puka Nacua or, Cooper Kupp, as you mentioned. But I think the Rams are very, very close this year only because of the McCaffrey injury. I think that could linger throughout the year. Again, I don't have any inside information, obviously, but I think that it can sometimes linger, especially mentally, when you start feeling that little strain. I think it could become more down the line. Who knows? But I just think as a running back, that's always at the back of your head. With the Seahawks, Mike McDonald's going to be a good guy for them, right? He's trying to build something. Pete Carroll taking off and going up into the front office. I think that's something that he's going to have to take the bull by the horns and figure out how to build that locker room and build respect. And I think the way you build respect is you go out and get tough guys in the trenches, and they did that with Byron Murphy, the defensive tackle, as we mentioned last week, for the University of Texas. He creates such just drama when it came to the offensive line. The offensive line were pointing fingers at each other, and it just found a way to bring some type of production, whether it was stopping the run or getting out to the quarterback and find a way to make things happen. So the Cardinals, again, Jonathan Gannon doesn't bring too much to the table as far as coaching. Kyler Murray, we know he's made up, but he's also lost Hollywood Brown, and they got James Conner and they drafted Trey Benson, but how much is that going to help? Again, 7-10. I just think Kyler Murray's going to have a tough time this year, and that's why I do have 49ers at 11-6, but I also have the Rams right there at 10-7. So I think it's very, very close.
Yeah, and I think too with McCaffrey, it'll be interesting to see